Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. And since the Clan War League is about to start, I have a really nice war base for you guys which you can use over there. So perfect timing on that, I think. So you can just go in the description of the video and just straight up copy the base. If you want to know a little bit more about base building in general and what CC you should use on this one, well, make sure to listen to the video and make sure to stick around to the end, because we use this base as well in the Clash of Clans Worlds ESL qualifier, and we used it against Team Castle, so one of the best teams in the world, and they struggled on this base. So if you want to make sure to see all of that, make sure to stick around. But let's get started with why exactly this base is pretty good. So first things first, this base is pretty good against Yeti Smash and against the E-Drags. Both of them obviously can triple. I mean, right now you can triple any base with any strategy as soon as you find the right angle to come from. Obviously, something which is really important, especially in the Clan War League, for example, you have only one attack. So it's kind of unlikely that people would go for those super risky attacks, which they might go for in normal wars where you have like multiple attacks and can easily save up for a 1-star, for example. But on bases like this, it's most of the time super risky if you're coming from the complete opposite side, for example, and trying to go for the Town Hall, because it's such a long way to actually make sure that you're securing that 2nd star. So most of the people are more like going for the safe 2-star and trying to somehow make sure to involve the Queen Charge, to involve the Town Hall in their Queen Charge or in their Yeti Smash push. For this, well, we have first thing first, we have the sweepers pointing to the direction where it's most likely you will come from, and entry wise. And I'm talking about this because first thing, if you're coming in from this direction, like I said, the Town Hall is on the super far back, which means it's really likely that you miss out on the 2nd star, which means it's a lot of risk to take as an attacker. And the next entry, which is obviously possible still without covering from the sweepers, is from this one. But this is by far like the biggest flank ever, so it's really unlikely that someone is coming from over there, because you need perfect funneling, and otherwise your troops will go left, right, center, not really what you want them to have. So those are kind of the typical entries. Then as well, you want to protect this this compartment because of the possible Yeti blimp, so the sweepers trying to prevent that. And then obviously, like I said, the town is covered by the other sweepers. So those are kind of the basics. Then as well, something which I'm always starting with are the expos. We have 3 air expos actually. So you might think you want to come in with air on this one, but we tested the base with the classic entries, I would say, with E-Drags, and it never really worked. It was most of the time, or it could be close, but never really a triple. And that's what it's all about. Like, this base is an anti-3-star base. I don't really know on whether you guys should use it in Legend League, but this base is designed to use, or to get used in war, in the Clan War League, for example, in tournaments and stuff like that, where you have most of the time one hit and can't really try 100 different angles. And this is where this base shines. But let's talk about a couple of possible entries about this one with like the most common strategies. So the first thing is, which when I saw the base the first time, and obviously we test the bases in our team itself, the first idea I had on this base was something like taking out this compartment with the Yeti blimp, like this entire compartment, and then charging in over here with having like a double layer kinda on this layer, and then charging in over here, and then something like hybrid or like Lalo in for the back end. That was my idea, which I had the first time looking at the base. Obviously we tweaked some things against that entry, but the most annoying thing about that are those 2 expos. And this kind of feels always on whichever entry you take. You always have some ground expos which you can't reach. But let's talk about this one first. If you enter like this, like I said, and you enter into this compartment, if you take a look at the ranges, those expos can cover the bottom compartment where your queen is charging into perfectly, and the queen can't reach the 2 expos, which makes it really annoying to charge over there, because it's really spell expensive, because you can't really get into the expos, which means you need to non-stop rage your queen, otherwise she will die. The next bad thing about this is that the clan castle is coming out kind of late. So whenever you're using something which is relying on taking out the clan castle, like for example hybrid, it takes some time to actually take out the clan castle, which is another bad thing. if you think like, okay, let's avoid or like still avoid the sweepers and try something else and try to charge in from somewhere over here, you have the same scenario again. Yes, you will take care of the clan castle a bit earlier, but you have once again 2 expos which you cannot reach, and which makes the queen charge really expensive on the spell ending. So this is kind of annoying charging wise on the base. It's not too easy because it's kind of compact. So this is why a lot of people think, okay, on those compact bases, most of the time, even against 4 ground expos, for example, you can easily just throw in a Yeti Smash. And this is what Team Kesso did as well. But before we take actually a look at the attack of Team Kesso, we want to take a look at the possible entries, because those are most of the time into the town hall. Otherwise, if you're coming from over here, it's really likely that your troops will like getting split up in the core and will miss out on the town hall, which would be a huge thing, getting only 1 star obviously. So what a lot of people try to do is do a warden walk over here or over here. It kind of depends where you want to do that and what's the follow-up. And then either triple jump like this, or what some people did as well, instead of the first jump, like just get rid of the first jump and do like a double layer. And then you can save 1 jump spell and bring like a rage, a heal, 2 freezes, whatever you want to go for. And this is what Team Kesso did as well. Like they try to save the first jump and try to use instead the double layer. So now I will get to the traps, because so far we haven't really took a look at the traps. And if you can see, there are so freaking many traps on that way. Like the spring trap, I will get rid of the drawing. So the spring traps, the 3 giant bombs, more spring traps, and this tornado trap is going to be the MVP, because what is going to happen? This queen will lure all of the troops into the core, so they miss out on most of the time those 2 buildings. And then the tornado trap is like rotating, or use a different color, is rotating the troops away from those 2 buildings. So they are staying alive forever. And this is obviously clutch with the scatter shot, because this scatter shot is dealing tons and tons of damage because nothing is actually killing that. So this is really crazy about this base. Then obviously a lot of people try to have like something like Hawk Riders over here, but you have once again 1, 2 giant bombs and the bomb tower, and you have the king over there as well, so the royal champion is not really getting too far. And that's just the setup. It's crazy, but I would say before you really believe me, let's take a look at how exactly it went down against Team Kesso, and you can just decide by your own if it's really good or not. So this was the attack from Team Kesso on this base, and they did pretty much everything like I said, with the double layer, with the super wall breakers, with the warden walk and everything. So they did a really good setup. In addition to that, they are bringing 6 loons, which is kind of like a still kind of hidden secret about Yeti Smash, even though it seems kind of obvious. But one of the big weaknesses, if there's any weakness to Yeti Smash, are black mines. Obviously you want to get rid of the healers, because if the healers die out on a Yeti Smash, your troops are way more squishy than they actually are, kinda. So this is kind of the important thing about Yeti Smash, trying to get rid of the healers. And if you're bringing loons, like if you're just sending in loons with your main squad, those healers can't die, and he will do this perfectly. Just take a look at how exactly he's doing that. So first off, a couple of Yetis, then the first wall break, sending in his troops. Everything so far is looking really good. At the top side, he's using the siege barracks to funnel. They are running into the Tesla farm, and now he's sending in the loons, which are flying ahead of the big group of healers, and they're here to soak up every single black mine which is on the way of the healers. He already soaked up already 2 black mines with his loons, which means 2 possible healers which could have died due to that are not dying, kinda. And now the thing which is happening kinda in the core, which is told you guys, the tornado trap is rotating everything away from the scatter shot, and this scatter shot is staying alive forever. Now the queen is taking that out. Now 1 healer is dying, or now healers are dying to some black mines and red bombs. The last scatter shot is getting rid of the healers, and even though this looks kinda good, the big problem about this is that he's getting rid of the core, which is normally a good thing, but there's nothing which actually clears out the outside buildings, which in the end will result in a really low percentage attack, because like I said, the core is taken out, but everything on the flank which can still shoot is still alive, which means the percentage on this base won't be too much. Like if we speed forward through the end of this attack, you guys will see there's not too much percentage-wise which he's getting rid of. So that's actually crazy, considering that not too much. There's still tons of defenses, but still not too much is still alive. Defenses-wise, this means that yeah, even though he cleared most of the stuff, only 71%, which is a crazy good result, considering that you're going against Team Kessler. So this is how this base defended. If you guys want to see more bases like this, if you want to see more on my channel, make sure to follow this channel and subscribe. And well, if you want to support me even more, make sure to use that correct code in your game, which means go in your settings and more settings, and then you can find at the bottom the possible where you can possibly enter the credit code ITSU. Thank you guys so much for the support. Well, I hope this base will have great results for you guys. Let me know how it defends for you. And well, I will see you guys back tomorrow for another one. See you guys until then, and bye bye.